Hey, Stephen, you got an email recently from a client by the name of David Blair. And
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you to share it a little bit because it seems to me that a lot of what's special about UBX Cloud is encapsulated by what David said.
Mhm. Yeah, that was actually a nice message to receive that. Um, yeah, it was quite special. It's not every day that you are we're reliant on our critical backend systems to run these environments. And when we inform customers of an outage or a potential outage, to have a customer say, "Thank you so much for letting me know," because not a lot of other companies would have done that, I think speaks volumes. Especially with David's company, because he's what I call like one of the submarines. Like he'll underwater and working on working on running his business, and he's been doing it successfully for a decade and a half. And but when he surfaces and needs something, like we have to respond and respond
Mm.
quickly. And that's kind of how this stuff works, especially with our MSP relationships. And so it was nice to see, especially coming from him, that we were doing something and doing something well.
Yeah, and he also seemed to have an understanding that if he'd been working with one of the big cloud guys,
Mhm.
that what he would have gotten would have been formulaic and non-responsive and yeah. I think that's one of the reasons he loves you guys because he knows that you are really paying attention, that you're communicating with him for real,
Mhm.
and that you're on it.
Yeah, especially with the kind of work, I mean, just in general in the information and technology space and cybersecurity space, there are so many interconnected systems and dependencies, and you can't possibly, a single person can't possibly know all those connections and what the impact of losing one of those connections would be to the end user experience or the application in which it's running or the system that it's at the foundation of. So when UBX Cloud received indicators that some of our upstream providers were having trouble, and it wasn't just our carrier environment, but actually other large internet providers and web properties and cloud providers were also feeling the ripple effect of that fiber outage, and it was out in North Carolina, that it could potentially ripple into our environment, and our customers might feel it. So we just stated the facts and said, hey, we're aware of an issue and we're investigating it. We're not sure what it is. And then we followed up as soon as we found out, and we were completely transparent. I mean, it's a lot of people, especially in our field, are just very like to save face quite a bit. And I think it's just maybe the introverted nature of the people, behind the scenes and doing these kinds of things. But for us, it's just like, no, we own it. Like this actually is not our issue. It's an issue with the fiber cut with one of our upstream providers. And, other people are down. We're not down because the way that our systems are architected with failovers
Mhm.
and diversity. So we saw a blip in traffic for about 25% of our environment. And we had like maybe 20 VPN tunnels just go down, and then shortly, after a few minutes, we reestablish. And we saw that on both of our upstream peers. So that was the unusual part. That's what we determined was like this is not our issue, because it's coming in from our redundant providers, right? So
Mhm.
it was almost like, I guess the best way that I could put it is, imagine if the electric grid was running and all of a sudden, they disconnect like a third of the capacity for power, right? I'm sure a lot of homes would either go dark or start browning out. There'd be some overdraw issues, and that's essentially what was happening on the public internet.
Mhm.
And we gave all the details and we sent it out, and we're just like, hey, this might affect you. We're just letting you know.
Yeah, I mean the simplest thing, really.
Hmm.
I mean, and it's that I think that speaks a lot to your culture because when you talk about it, you're like, well, of course we would do that. And yet that isn't necessarily the industry norm. And I think that's kind of what David is saying is like, I know everybody should do it this way, but you guys do.
Yeah.
And that's a great. It said, I mean, it was a short message, but it
Mhm.
said so much. I really enjoyed when you showed it to me, and that's why I thought we should talk about it here.